All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? I am Is There No One Else, and I am bringing you my updated Magplar build for the Wrathstone patch. Now, this is just the update from the Wolf Hunter DLC. For those of you guys that have watched that build and wanted to see what's going on, I have changed nothing from the Wolf Hunter DLC to this because I think it works just fine. Now, I do think one race is better than what I'm currently running, and I'll dive into that in a minute. But if you guys haven't watched this build, or you guys haven't seen the last iteration of this build, I'm going to talk about it here. I'm going to dive into the gear, consumables, skills, all that fun stuff. But before I do that, I wanted to kind of talk about what this build does, what it's built for, and what it's not built for. Because oftentimes when people are running builds, they throw together something that people are running and they think they can kind of do it for everything. And this build is very specifically strong for a very specific situation, and that's outnumbered PvP. This is going to work really well in a 2, 3, 4-man group. I specifically built it for solo play. I think Magplar in general has a lot of issues in small scale or solo play, and so I wanted to make a build that combined survivability, sustain, and maneuverability, all with the same skill and skill combinations. And so basically when we pop one skill, our sustain and our damage mitigation all apply together, which allows us to go high damage. Now, where this is not strong is this is not a healer build, guys. We are using Honor the Dead. It only heals one person. So if you're going in thinking like this is going to be a really good healer build, we don't have high magic recovery. We don't have the right heal for healing a bunch of people. We don't have more than Honor the Dead. So this is for solo, small scale, emergency burst heals for other people, but mostly for us. This will also not be good for dueling, guys. One of the sets that we're running works really, really well in an outnumbered situation. In one-on-ones, it's garbage. And so I will provide adjustments, like changes if you guys want to duel with this type of build. You know, maybe you want to duel your friends casually, whatever, and you kind of just want to run what you're running. I'll show you what I would do just by switching one set, and then you know, you guys can make your iterations, maybe have both of those sets on your bar just in case you want to randomly duel your buddies or whatever. So with that being said, guys, let's dive into it. The first set we're running is Cyrodiil's Light. If you guys haven't seen Cyrodiil's Light, here it is. 2, 3, and 4 pieces all damage. Spell damage, max magicka, max magicka. 5 piece. While you're casting or channeling an ability, your damage taken is reduced by 15%. When you're interrupted, your next magic ability will cost no magicka. This is a great set for a Magplar for a few reasons. It works with our sweeps, it works with our Radiant, it works with Soul Assault, and it works in Mistform. So this set allows us, a hypothetical scenario for you guys as a Magplar. You're going from keep to keep, you come up over this hill, and all of a sudden there's 10 enemies there. And, you know, oftentimes when you do that, you know, more often than not, most Magplars are vampires and they're using Mistform anyways. By the time you get to your spot to go on the offensive, you know, you sometimes run out of magicka before you get there. Or you're getting hit by so many people that, you know, the damage mitigation in Mistform helps, but it's just not helping you enough. This stacks with Mistform. So we have 90% damage mitigation with this. This will allow us that when we have those oh shit situations where we weren't expecting a fight, it'll allow us to pick and choose our spot to get where we need to get to go on the offensive. And when we go on the offensive, this damage mitigation applies to our sweeps, which allows us to finish our combinations. Another problem that Magplars have in open world PvP when they're fighting a bunch of people, we don't have quick burst combos. We have combinations that are very bursty after a period of time. And so there's a difference there. We can't just go defensive, 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 and then quick 1-second combo wipe somebody out. We have to purifying, reflective light, purifying light, shock clench, sweeps, radiant. You know, like we have to kind of get everything down. And so this allows us to finish our combinations, Cyrodiil's Light does, because when we go into our sweeps, we will take less damage while we are going in the offensive, which is a very nice synergy for Magplar. We are running defensive one-handed weapon, an impend shield, and then we are running a sharpened lightning staff on the front bar. as far as our monster set goes, I've tested a bunch. I've tested Bloodspawn. I tested Scoria. Scoria is great for damage. You can run Grothdar here if you want more damage. If you're running in a small group, like 2, 3, and 4 man, I would switch this out potentially and put on either Scoria or Grothdar. I think that would be better. But when you're fighting solo, Pirate Skeleton is just so much better. The survivability this gives you is better than the burst that Scoria will give you. Here's Pirate Skeleton, 1-piece physical and spell resistance, and then when you take damage, you get major protection and minor defile for 12 seconds. And so when you're fighting outnumbered, you have this set up to 12 out of 15 seconds. And so because we can't dodge roll, because we're going to be eating all this incoming damage, we're going to have Pirate Skeleton up all the time. I use this set also to go on the offensive. So when Pirate Skeleton procs, that's when I go on the offensive to take people out, because we're taking 30% less damage with this. We're taking 15% less damage with Cyrodiil's Light. So then all of a sudden when we're going on the offensive, when we're fighting a lot of people, it'll allow us to finish our targets to where all of a sudden we don't have to cut off our burst combination, mid combination, and go on the defensive to stay alive. That's why this is so good in my opinion. And the other 5-piece that we're running on both bars is Desert Rose. Desert Rose is a great outnumbered set. It is a very bad one-on-one set. Wanted to clear that up. 2-piece spell resistance, 3-piece max health, 4-piece max magicka, 5-piece. When you take damage, you have a 15% chance to restore 2352 magicka. This effect can occur once every 4 seconds. So this turns out to, with 100% uptime, which you'll have pretty close to that, you could have up to 1200 magicka recovery with this set while you're taking damage in an outnumbered situation. Now, the other great part about this set is it also procs when you're in misform. So we're taking a lot less damage when we're in misform. We have 90% damage mitigation. And then we're also getting 1200 magicka, up to 1200 magicka recovery when we're wearing Desert Rose. Since it's not recovery, it's just proccing while we're in there. So this set works very well for a vampire. The other thing that also works is our defensive rune also gives us magicka recovery when we're in misform. So when we combine that 1200 plus the 480 that we have from this, you'll see that our magicka will actually go up a little bit while we're in misform because of this rune. See how it's going up there? So that's the nice part about that synergy. If we were taking damage, you would see Desert Rose go off. Now, that's why this build is not a dueling build, because Desert Rose will not work in a one-on-one situation. If we're fighting a heavy dot build, we're going to purify all their dots, so we'll have less chance to proc this. Because we're only facing one person, it's a 15% chance on all attacks. You know, one person isn't going to proc this a whole lot either. I would rather run... I would take 5-piece Desert Rose off, and I would put Julianos or Shackle or like Seducer on. Like if you still want the reduced cost and you want the sustain, you could put 5-piece Seducer on here. That would work just fine. As far as the jewelry goes, we're running 2 Arcane and 1 Infused. All spell damage. We want to amp as much damage as possible into this build. Since we're not running pure damage sets, this is where we're going to get our damage from. Our max magicka, our set bonuses, and then our enchants. As far as our consumables go, come on now. Come on now. We're running Essence of Movability pots, which is health and magicka with a move. These are very important for a Magplar. Like, this is way better than tripods. I would not recommend running tripods on this build. You need a movable pots, because what's going to happen is you're going to pop your pot when you're fighting severely outnumbered. You want to have this time to where you can go on the offensive without getting CC'd. If you don't have this CC immunity and you go on the offensive, oftentimes you can get interrupted and it will take kills away from you. So run and move pots. And we're also running tri-stat food. We just want to buff our overall stats. We're going to get enough recovery with our sets. We are also currently a Breton. I do think High Elf is better. For this specific build, I think High Elf is the better route to go, because with the High Elf and their passives, you also get 5% less damage while channeling abilities. and that channeling applies to your spell and physical resistances. And so when you're fighting people as a Magplar, your toughest people to fight are going to be Stamina Nightblades. Stamina Nightblades hit the hardest, they are the burstiest. And as you see here, this is our stats on our back bar. We have 40,000 max magicka, 27k health, 16k stamina, 2100 spell damage, 34k spell resistance, and 27k physical. With almost 3300 crit resist, we have 64 points in a magicka. We are running the Mage Mundus Stone, and we are a stage 4 vampire. Now, I would run either a high elf with tri-stat food, or I would consider running a high elf with dual stat food. The off-stat passive that high elves have is really nice. It will proc with our Purify, it will proc with our Breath of Life on our back bar. It will give us a ton of recovery. That passive is essentially as good as the Argonian Potion passive for an off-stat recovery. It's very good. On top of that, we get the same max magicka and we get more spell damage. I don't think you need the 8% reduced cost from a Breton to run this build. We have 853 magicka recovery plus the 480 that you get with the rune, plus the 1200 that you get from Desert Rose. So we have roughly 2500 magicka recovery with this build when everything's fully procced, when we're on the defensive. We have very high sustain with this setup. I think you could sustain just fine with a high elf. Now, the reason I'm not a high elf is I do like to switch my builds. Sometimes I do like to run a healer on my Magplar. And so I think overall, Breton is a better race for Magicka Templar than high elf. But for this specific build, I would go high elf. As far as our front bar goes, these are our stats. Just under 40k max magicka, 26k health, 16k stam, 33,000 crit resist, and then our physical and spell resist are once again at 2,700 and 20,000. So damage at 22,000. Sorry. So yeah, our spell damage doesn't look super high. But with our max magicka and all that, we are very bursty. As far as our skills go, we are running Puncturing Sweeps, Shock Clench, Purifying Light, Radiant Oppression, Reflective Light, Crescent Sweep. On our back bar, we're running Devouring Swarm, Structured Entropy, Channeled Focus, Elusive Mist, Honor the Dead, and Extended Ritual. You want to run Extended Ritual? That purifies 5 negative effects. Everybody's running dots, poisons, defiles, debuffs, all that. You need this in a solo Magplar environment. The one that does damage is absolute garbage for you. You need Extended Ritual, trust me. As you guys can see, our Honor the Dead tooltip is very high. We're coming in before a spell pot just under 14,000. When we have continuous and when we have our major sorcery, I think we're at like 15.5 Honor the Deads. So our healing on this build is very, very powerful. We have all this damage mitigation with Cyrodiil's Light and Pirate Skeleton and our nice resistances. And then we have this healing that really allows us to, just stay alive and be very, very hard to kill in an outnumbered situation. As far as our CP goes, 66 Warlord. You want a ton in to break free. 56 in a Tenacity. 27 in Arcanist. You could honestly take more out of this because we're not running a ton of Magicka recovery. 100 in a Shadow Ward. 18 in a Tumbling. You could take some out of here and you could put it into Siphoner. Actually, I would take at least one and put it in a Siphoner because you want that debuff. I have not done that. That's a noob mistake on my part. As far as our CP goes, 56 Alley Expert, 49 into Blessed, 51 Elfborn, 39 Spell Erosion, none into Master at Arms, 75 into Thaumaturge. We really want to buff our dots. We have a lot of damage over time effects. 48 Ironclad, 53 Resistant, 49 Hardy, 49 Alley Defender, 0 into Thick Skin. If we're playing Magplar well, we will be purifying a lot. I think you could put a few in here, but this isn't a high focus. I think the focus we want is dealing with Nightblades, and so we want to deal with direct damage, we want to deal with crit resist, and we want to deal with physical poison and disease damage. Those are the things that are going to affect us the most. That's why we're stacking into that, and we're also stacking into our healing received. That's a CP. You can adjust that however you want. Like I said, mine's not perfect. Yeah. So, as I said before, guys, this build's really good outnumbered. I really love it for that situation. Playing topside, solo, and Cyrodiil, this build is going to work very well for you. In a small group, it's going to work very well. I would make some adjustments for dueling, like I said. If you guys have any questions about this build, please comment in the section below. Like I said, I will be coming out with other builds that are more like group friendly. But my personal preference is I love to play solo, and so I wanted to make a solo build. And what I love about this specific setup is Cyrodiil's Light with Mistform, with Desert Rose, all synergize well together to make you hard to kill, sustain very well, and have maneuverability and survivability. And on top of that, you can get enough damage with all those sets to where you can kill people. This setup actually hits a lot harder than it looks because we're in light. We have the extra pen. We have nice burst with our purifying light combos. And we overall just have nice damage. You know, we have 40,000 max magicka and 2,600 spell damage. So before we proc an enchant or anything like that. So that's the build, guys. Like I said, if you have any comments or questions, please comment in the section below. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.